Aloha and good morning and welcome to Live at the Legislature, where every week we discuss topics, issues, bills of concern with members of the House Majority Democrats. With us this morning, we have Representative Cedric Gates. Gates is the chair of the Culture, Arts, and International Affairs Committee, and he represents District 44, Waianae, Makaha, Wakua, and Maile. Welcome, Representative Gates.
Good morning, James. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to start our discussion this morning talking about COVID-19 and due to the pandemic, the Capitol is closed. So testimony on bills is submitted online. The hearings are all live streamed to provide access. How is that going for you so far? And are you seeing any benefits from using Zoom to testify and posting the hearings on YouTube?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that our Capitol is closed. You know, it's a beacon of democracy for our state. And, I really enjoyed when our community was able to attend committee hearings and so forth. With our COVID situation and the testimony now being online, I think it can be a benefit for my district specifically, given that on days it takes me 2 hours to get into the Capitol. So to expect constituents to drive in a 2-hour drive to testify on one or two bills and then have to head back in same traffic that they came in, I think that alleviates some of the pressures from constituents being involved in the civic engagement and the discussions that are taking place at the legislature. I'm hoping that we will see over the period of time that more constituents will participate via Zoom and provide their testimony.
Yeah, it takes a little time to get used to it, but I see what you mean. That is a benefit for someone who lives on the far side of the island.
Correct.
Now, in your district, which stretches from Waianae to Makaha all the way out to Kaena Point, what are your priority issues for your district?
One of the most important priorities for me, is getting residents back to work, really dealing with the economic issues that we are having during this COVID-19. And even prior to COVID-19, the cost of living has been a major factor for a lot of residents on whether they stay here in Hawaii or find a new place to live because the cost of living is just too high. So dealing with the issue of housing, as well as those that are experiencing homelessness on our coastline, is very important. I would say the number one priority, though, for my community right now is transportation infrastructure. As I said earlier, it takes sometimes 2 to 3 hours just to go one way out of our community or go the other way. And I personally have sat in 4-hour traffic just getting home from the Capitol. So really trying to figure out how do we push for a secondary access road into our community, and working with DOT as well as DHHL on how to create a win-win situation where we can develop a secondary access road possibly through DHHL property, which would allow for more beneficiaries to access DHHL lots, because a road would now be created where there was no road to access parcels of land. So those discussions are taking place right now, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to address it in the very near future.
That would have a double benefit. It would not only benefit the residents there and access to homestead land, but help get transportation moving again.
Correct.
Now, as chair of the Culture, Arts, and International Affairs Committee, what are the priority bills for that committee this year? What are you thinking along those lines?
So for my committee bills, one of the things that we want to try to do is reconnect to Polynesia as well as Oceania. I think one of the things that the legislature has focused on is creating a lot of sister states with a lot of different countries outside of the Pacific. And what we want to try to do is bring that back home and try to connect to, say, Aotearoa or Samoa, for example, creating some sister state relations in there. One of the cool things that we're doing is working with Polynesian Voyaging Society to create a new license plate to support their future voyages in the future 2024 and 2022. And we're looking at how we can empower our culture practitioners to be more involved in government and to provide input when it comes to projects in our communities.
So that plate would, you purchase the plate and the funds go to help benefit the Voyaging Society then?
Correct. Just as was done for the volcano in Hawaii Island, when they had the recovery, they did create a license plate to go to the recovery effort. So that's going to be basically how it works for the Polynesian Voyaging Society and Hokulea's license plate.
Now, just a few weeks into this session, it's really just started, but can you say so far, what you hope to achieve this year? I know budget's tight, but what do you hope is going to happen this session?
I really hope that we prepare ourselves for what's coming down in the future from the federal government. I think, ensuring public health as a state, making sure that it's safe for our residents, but also visitors coming in. Also, of course, our economic recovery, and really hoping that we can get businesses back up and residents back to work, as well as our students who are on Zoom now, right? And hopefully we can create an environment that they can return back to our schools safely, and that, that can be a big relief for the parents who are struggling to make it every day.
How is the Wi-Fi connection out there for students? Does that need some broadband work, or are they pretty well connected on the coast?
I think there are still a lot of pockets that do not have access to internet, and that's why I'm supporting legislation moving in the Capitol right now to broaden broadband connections for our residents out here. And I think that's one way we can contribute to making sure that we can still have a quality educational system while being in this hybrid mode and in this Zoom learning style that we're dealing with right now.
And we're all hoping this additional federal funding passes too, so that
Correct.
we can get more funds to people.
Yes.
Well, it's been great talking to you. We love to hear from the West Side and what you're doing, and thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure, and you have a great day. Aloha.
Aloha.
What are you doing? We have to go. I'm gonna be late for work.
It's Tuesday morning. I gotta record live at the legislature on Alelo. Senate and House leadership discussing what's happening at the state capitol.
So just watch it on the news tonight. Come on, let's go.
Hey, this is like getting the news before it's news. If only I could get this remote to work.
There. Can we go now?
No DVR? No problem. Watch Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. on Channel 49.